Wait, are we recording?
Yes, Jess, we're recording.
Well, welcome to
Two Girls, No Plan.
Where nothing is scripted
And it's all our honest opinions.
with a few chaotic moments.
So tune in
Buckle up.
and grab a glass of your favourite drink,
Unless
unless you're driving.
I want to background.
Hey guys, welcome back
To part 2 of
Surviving Camping.
La, 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 la.
Creepy, I know. Now, if you guys haven't already watched, go back to part 1 to see what we're talking about, because otherwise, if you're jumping on now, you're going to be so confused of what we're going on about.
You're going to be lost. So make sure you go back to that episode.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So like we were saying in part 1, at this point, Jess had heard, oh shit, and the call had dropped.
Yeah.
I'd either hung up, the call had dropped, I turned my car off, it was one or the other, and Jess was like, what has happened?
I thought worst case scenario, car accident or off a cliff. Those were my two things running through my head. I was stressing.
At this point, before the call had cut out, my car had went straight down into a ditch. So obviously, like I said before, we accidentally went down a four-wheel drive track that I didn't know we were going down. And I had kept going straight. And I was like, at this point, no, it should be fine. And then next thing you know, you hear bang, and my car's went straight down into a pothole technically.
Yeah.
And my seatbelt had grabbed onto me. Jordan's seatbelt grabbed onto him, and my chest had hit the steering wheel. It was absolutely painful when it had happened.
You're just thinking pothole on the bitumen. No, these bog holes when you go forward driving, they are deceiving. Like, they look like they could be shallow, but they're deep. If you go into those hard, you can F your car up so easily.
I was stressed that and mind you, I'd bought my car only literally 1 year prior, so I'd only had this car for 1 year. So I'm like, what have I done? And I have a hatchback. Not a car that's designed for four-wheel drive.
She has a nice blue Ford Focus.
Ford EcoSport.
Ford EcoSport.
And
nice brand new one. Oh, secondhand, but brand new.
So it still had like double digits for kilometers, so it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't blue by the time we got to that campsite, I'll tell you right now. And I cleaned it beforehand. And I got mud on the inside, and I'll explain why in a second. But at this point, I'd hit the ditch. And before we got to the ditch, beforehand, Jordan had said we should stop or like turn around. And I said, no, let's go a bit further. And I should just stopped. I should have listened to Jordan. And I said to him, I'm like, oh, maybe it's okay. And we're both like, all right, let's see what happens. And then a voice in my head said, Shani, stop. And right as that voice happened and I kept going, bang. And that's when I'd hit the ditch. So I put my car in drive. I put it in reverse. I put it in sports mode. I did all the things to try and get my car out. No luck. At this point, I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, we're stuck. And the reason I'm crying, because you're thinking, Shani, you're stuck, is I'm in a stupid position where I can't get a hold of people, or the reception's very, it's very touchy.
Yeah.
And RACV can't get to me where I'm located. The fire department won't be able to get to where I'm located, and I'll explain that why later as well. But no one can get to me, and I'm stressed. And so Jordan and I let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
I opened my door to get out of my car, and obviously I didn't think before, because obviously I'm stressed, I'm upset, my car is stuck, I'm worried we're gonna die.
Yes.
You have all these thoughts. A second I went, poor Jordan's looked at me and watched me go down quickly as I've come out of the car, because I slipped and I fell straight. And I was in my uniform straight from work. So I was in all my fresh scrubs and a fresh pair of Vans, all into mud. And he freaked out because I literally just dropped. So obviously he's like, oh my God, where the hell are you going? Can you imagine looking at someone as you get into the car and they've dropped? I was like, and I screamed, and Jordan came running, and he's like, oh my God. And I started crying. He's like, give me a hug. I was like, Jordan, I'm covered in mud. Don't touch me right now. He's like, give me a fucking hug.
She was soaked when I got to her eventually, which we will say. She was soaked
head to and
in mud.
The worst thing is, if you think about it, every time I need to try and start my car, what do I need to do? Get in and out. So you can imagine I'm drenched in mud. My poor leather seats getting drenched in mud. every time that happened. Mind you, after this happened, it took me a long time to get confidence to start driving at night as well after that happened.
I can vouch
and
for
also
that.
like driving to our friend's house.
Yeah.
It's only now I'm fine with it, but back then after it happened, and I was already good with it, and then after that happened, it made it really hard. Like when I went to my friend's farm that we were talking about earlier at another trip, I actually told everyone I'm leaving earlier. I'm sorry, I don't care. I need to leave earlier. I need to be able to take my time and not rush and leave after work. Like I took the day off from work.
Yeah.
But so that had happened. And Jordan makes the most stupidest comment while this is happening, going, oh, there'll probably be wild boars around.
Jordan can be stupid sometimes.
And if you don't know what wild boars are, they're wild pigs.
Yeah.
At this point, I call Jess back and I'm like, I'm stuck. She's like, what do you mean you're stuck? I'm like, I'm stuck. I can't get myself out. And funny enough, Jess obviously has the four-wheel drive, but she only bought a four-wheel driving, what's the kit called? The
snap strap,
like a
recovery kit.
Recovery kit. Yeah. Literally, I was with her a couple days prior
lucky.
when she
and I actually packed it, which I wouldn't have packed it for a normal camping trip, and I did pack it.
She would have had to gone to other people at the campsite. That's the other thing I thought of, is she would have had to go to other people. At this point, I say to Jess, you need to come help me. And she's like, girl, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm already set up. The rooftop tent was set up. The gazebo everything was set up. And I said, I'm sorry, you need to come and get me. And obviously they can't leave everything behind. So they had to literally pack everything up except for like the gazebo, I think.
Yeah. So what happened was, after she told me that, obviously I was glad that they were both okay, not the fact that we had no clue where they are. We don't have reception.
No.
She didn't really have reception for maps technically to show me where she was. It was just based off the one communication I had, and that was a rough estimate of where she was, and that's all I had information for. There was no other form of contact after this point, by the way. It was just that phone call.
And I had to keep calling back at one point. Every time I'd get a bit of reception, I had to keep calling back because she had to go in blind sometimes of me explaining, and then I couldn't call her because we would lose the reception. And I'm like, she doesn't know where she's going. I don't know where she is. And it got to the point that Jordan and I were trying to dig out my car. So I had like cups, like obviously camping, like enamel mugs to try and dig us out, which didn't work. Obviously, might have helped a little bit, but didn't. And when I saw Jess, and Jordan didn't believe me, and Jess couldn't see us, and I said to Jordan, I said, that's Jess, because we kept seeing lights and flashing, and me and Jordan kept yelling out for help because we saw people tenting, and they didn't even leave their tents or anything like that. I wonder if it's the same tents, but it's like they didn't even leave the tents. We kept screaming like, please help. And obviously there's a few people in this world. If you hear help, you're either going to do something. You hear help, you're not going to do something.
Yeah.
I saw Jess at this point. I was like, Jordan, that's Jess. And he's like, no, it's not. I said, that's Jess. I'm walking up. And he's like, no, you should. I was like, I'm walking up. Yell out. And it took a while, and I yelled out another time, yelled out by that like third or fourth time. Jess hears me and yells back, and I said, told you it's Jess. Yeah. Jess had to drive her car, and Jackson was waiting in the car, so she walked all the way down that track.
Yeah,
Thank God.
Because I didn't know what was going to... It was a private... on the other side of the fence, it said no entry, only like vehicle, like forward drive vehicles, and I didn't know she was down here technically either. So I was like, I should just walk down just in case, because I don't need to. I shouldn't get stuck, and then her stuck, or then we're just both stuck. So I walked.
So she walked down. She found us, and at this point, Jess tried to help us get my car out. And then I think at this point, Jackson had eventually walked down after that too, as well, when he realized that we were all there.
Yeah.
And mind you, we did mention that recovery kit, but none of us thought to use it until about 2 or 3 hours of trying to get my car out.
I kid you no, because I didn't think... I was like, oh shit, yeah, I got my recovery kit in my car. But that's when we also had the next problem, right? With reception was in and out. She doesn't have a tow ball on the front of her car because obviously there's no bull bar that I can clip onto. There's nothing at the front of her car that I could click onto.
Because with cars, you can't just clip it onto something because it's going to rip it off.
Yeah, literally. And at one point she's like, you just got to do it. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. It's going to end up worse. And then for some reason I thought of, I know this is bad, but there was a guy that I had seen a couple of times. And I remember that he was out on a camping trip.
This is before Jess and Jordan were dating, obviously.
And I remembered he was out on a camping trip. as well, and for some reason he messaged me earlier, so I knew he had a reception. So I just thought I'll call him because he also said, if you need any help, call me. So I did. I called him and I said, hey, we're stuck. My friend's car, explained what car she has. He was a fucking legend.
Because he explained that I've got tow points on the front and back. When he said that, it clicked into me. I'm like, oh, I know where he's talking about. Because at the first, he's like, you do have tow points. I was like, where?
Yeah.
Where? He goes, you do. They're just covered. And I was like, oh, and I knew exactly. And I've got these like little circle things on one side of on the left side of my front of my car, and then like the right side, the back of my car. And I was like, oh my God. And so you have to get your keys and pull it out, and then there's a little thing inside that you clip it on.
Or clip it on.
Oh yeah, sorry, you are right. Yes, you are right. You had to clip it out. I had to go to the back of my car, and thank God I've had all that stuff in there, because I have to get I got everything out of my car. I literally got even things to try and lift up my tires, to try and get everything out. And so you have to screw it in, and then you can clip it, and that's the tow point. Because obviously every car, no matter what, needs some sort of way that you need to be able to tow it out for any reason.
Yeah. So thank God that. So we clipped her in. We ended up putting the straps together. Hooked it up to my front of my car.
Mind you, she had to reverse down.
She had to reverse
down. So can you imagine?
Well, did I reverse all the way from the front? No, I drove in straight, and then I pulled you out, and then I had to reverse really sketchily back around so that I was facing forward again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hooked her up. I reversed while pulling her out.
Within seconds, I'm not even joking. From 3 to 4 hours of us. By this point, it was 2 a.m. By this point, it was 2 a.m.
We were all tired, but all grumpy. We were all shitty. Like I was ready. All over it.
I was ready to go home at this point. I was so upset. I was worried about my car at this point. And so we were trying for 3 to 4 hours trying to get my car out. Within Jess hooking it up and backing up, I'm not even joking, within 10 seconds my car came out.
My car just slid out like it was nothing. It just straight out. And we all screamed. We were so excited. We were like jumping and screaming, going yay, but then we were also like,
we have to get out of here still.
Like, we've still got to get out of here.
And so Jess had turned her car around awkwardly, so she had to get Jordan and Jackson to kind of like
go down into this ditch.
And God forbid she gets stuck, because then she's fucked.
Stuck. And I hate reversing as well. It was pitch black. It was.
Mind you, to get me to get my car out, if there was no other way, I would have had to pay to get my car out, and I could not afford that. I would have had to be like, Jess, can I borrow money?
Yeah, I think the guy said that it would have been close to $5,000 to get someone out to.
No, three to four.
To get someone out to, and I was like, nah, we're not doing that.
So she eventually turned her car around, and then what she had to do was we unclipped my car at this point, so that way the cars aren't tugging on each other. Mm-hmm. And what happened was she went out slowly first for a little bit, and then Jordan, thank God, go for Jordan. Like, he was really good at this point, because Jackson's in the car with me. Jordan had the flashlight, and he would walk the track so he could guide where my tires should go. And he did the same for Jess. So he would guide Jess, and then he would wait, stop Jess, and then do it for me. And he did that the entire track back, which was a good, like, he was walking for a good 10 to 15 minutes. So good on him for doing that.
It was that was a very interesting night.
And then do you know what's more stressful is when we get into the campsite, I see what road she was talking about. So now I'm dealing with more stress, and poor Jackson's listening to me go, fuck me, if I get stuck again, I'm so over it. And at this point, I said to Jackson, I was like, I'm not even up for this trip anymore. And he's like, it's okay, like, we'll just get there, you can just relax. I was like, I can't relax, I'm covered in mud, my car is covered. To give you guys an idea, the mud on my leather seat was this thick.
It was.
And you can ask her, I had to scrape it off.
The amount of mud in her car, on her car,
was inside the engine. It was actually inside the engine too. And if you lift up my bonnet now, I've still got mud from it as well. It's still in my engine, unfortunately. So my car, as much as I love it, I probably won't be able to get money back from it, just from how I fucked it that night.
It was. And mind you, before all this happened, I had to run back in the pitch black too, because obviously I was like, oh shit.
So she had to walk all that way back.
I literally ran though, because I was like, oh no, I gotta get my friends out of this situation. So I ran back huffing and puffing. I was like, Jackson, we gotta go. He's like, what do you mean we gotta go? I was like, they're stuck. He's like, are you kidding me? I was like, I'm not kidding. He's like, oh, I was just about to go to sleep. I was like, I don't care. He's like, I was like, we have to pack up the rooftop tent. We have to pack everything up. I went to the people to the left, and I was like, hey guys, can you please watch this? My friend's gone, and I let someone else know so that someone could like listen and watch out just in case we didn't return, so at least someone else knew as well. So I was like, look, I'm gonna go and rescue my friend. She's stuck somewhere, and at least someone else knew that if we didn't return that night or the next day, at least someone else knew that was out and about. But I do not know how I found her. I really don't, because it could have been so many different places that she could have been.
At one point, I think, because Jess did make a few wrong turns at the start in your car, because I had to say, no, we're down this road, we're down this road, we're down this road. And she's like, girl, where are you meaning? And then I had to explain to her, you have to go back to the main road, and where you're meant to turn right, I went straight. And she went, oh, and she managed to find us not from the road that we went down, but from the road, from the same road, but from the other end of that road.
I literally went into this private camp area too, because there was a river that ran. That's the issue that I was having. There was a path before the river, and then there was a path after the river. So I went down the before river one first.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I think they're on the other side. So then I had to come all the way back out and then pull up at this gate, and it said no entry. And I was like, sorry guys, I'm opening this gate and I'm going down this road.
And the sad thing is, when we left, I looked at the sign, and like the sign that because obviously on the other end of the track they had it up and working. Yeah. I looked at it and went, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me?
Yeah, so that was definitely a story.
And then we got back, and poor Jess, like I was sitting there trying to get changed, and Jess had to be like, when you're not going home. She's like, if you feel like that way tomorrow, go home tomorrow. She's like, you got no sleep, you're tired, you're upset. That's the worst time to drive. I'm the type of person, if I'm really upset, I'd just rather leave the situation. And so I'm like, I just can't. She's like, it'll be okay. Funny enough, Jess and I ended up having a really good night's sleep that night, so it ended up working out really well. But I still woke up and I went, oh my car.
Yeah.
And Jess tried to help me clean it the next day, but it's so awkward trying to clean mud off the car. And to give you guys an idea, I still have stains that I can't get out of mud in my car on these speakers.
Yeah, we had fun though for the rest of the time. Do we tell it?
Well, we won't go into detail, but just to give you guys an idea, if you want to hear more of this story specifically, there is
part 3 eventually if
because
we need to.
we can just do a follow-up story.
Yeah.
To give you guys an idea, we got trapped in the middle of the lake because Jess popped my boat.
Yeah.
An inflatable boat, and we had to get saved, and both our boobs took a hit from it.
Yeah. That's a funny story. So if you want to hear that story,
you have to
below. Yeah. Share, like, whatever. Do all that stuff, and we will let you know.
Because we're going to end this segment part of this part.
Yeah.
So, you guys wanted to hear some more follower stories. So, Jess, I think we're going to mention a follower story.
Yeah. So we got Corey, which is my brother, and he had a couple stories that happened on his first big trip that he did to South Australia with his Mrs. Sammy. Mm-hmm. So, Corey's, it might be a little bit hard to understand, but I will explain afterwards if possible. Where is he? We'll do only one. I think I'll do the second one. And we'll do the other one in another one if people want to listen to this again. All right. Here is Corey.
And then another story at Rome. So we're basically camping.
Sorry. Here's the story.
Another story at Rome. So we're basically camping on the beach. And all that stuff. So we set up pretty far away, far enough so the water wouldn't get us. And we're in the water earlier that day as well. That's the funny thing. And like these waves were like 1.5 meters. It was not taller than us and going over us and crashing on top of us. And it was meant to be.
All right, a little backstory because I feel like you might get confused. So in South Australia, there's this track called Robe. Everyone does it if you have a 4-wheel drive. And you can actually camp on the beach. So they've camped on the beach and they've set up, and he's just explaining that the waves were really big because it was really windy, and where they had set up, there was issues later on in the night.
And thank God his girlfriend now has a snorkel, because his girlfriend Sammy was our friend before they started dating, and she stuffed her car up by not having a snorkel in Fraser Island.
Yeah, so lucky she had a snorkel this time.
Whatever it's called. It wasn't meant to be high tide or whatever it is.
That's always
turns out to be 4 o'clock in the fucking morning, freezing cold, that the water decides to come up to us. Well, basically go around me and Sammy's stuff, but up to everyone else. Everyone else gets out of their tent, starts saying, everyone get out, we've got to move our stuff. We've got to move. Sammy's like, what the fuck's going on out there? Let me go and have a look. And I said, no, you come back here. I want my snuggles right now. I don't want you going out there. I want to cuddle you. And then she ends up getting out. We both got out. And then turns out the water went around us, but no one else. And we had to move 100 meters further back. And the water still reached us. And yeah, that was another great story.
I'm sorry to all you men. You guys are always the ones that will wait until the very last minute while you're cuddling and then stuff yourselves up. Whether it's owners getting cars flushed away or being late for work, it's always the men that hold the women up, and that's it. We women hold you up for makeup and getting ready and things. You men hold us up for cuddles.
Yeah, literally hold us up for cuddles. So yeah, so he was basically saying that the water rose and got most of them, and basically if they didn't realize at 4 a.m, so the people that were in swags, they got wet obviously. If they didn't realize though, it would have been heaps worse. They probably could have been washed out to sea all their cars. So yeah, they had to move back. And yeah, so be careful when you pull up on a beach and make sure you're as far back as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we've got another follower story, and I believe Jess knows this lovely lady, Abby, from Forward Driving. Is that correct?
Yes, from Forward Driving.
So it starts off with, it's just a readout one, so not a voice message one. So enjoy my beautiful voice for this next couple minutes. But this is Abby's camping story. So, hey, Jess and Shani, hope you've both been well, and congrats on the podcast. I've been loving listening along. So thank you so much for that, Abby. That is very sweet. Last year, our four-wheel drive group headed to the Grampians for AFL Grand Final long weekend. Shout out Tough Mud.
Yes,
Tough Mud. As expected, the campground was absolutely packed, which is always to be expected.
Yeah.
We managed to find a vacant spot towards the end of the campground and started setting up camp. Not long after this SUV comes absolutely flying through the campground, easily doing 50 kilometers an hour. The older couple inside now pulled up and set up camp right next to us. Now, we didn't mind at all. It was a long weekend. Everyone was squeezed in for space, and at the end of the day, we're all there for the same reason, to enjoy a camping trip. So we welcomed them and thought nothing of it, which is so true. Yes. We are all there to do the same thing. Let's all be proper Australians and get along.
Accept everyone and get along.
Exactly, but it's not the case. Little did we know they were about to make this one of the weirdest camping trips we've ever had. Around 7:30 p.m, we were sitting around the campfire chatting with some quiet music playing in the background. The lady marches over us and tells us to turn it out because people are trying to sleep. Sorry, lady, do you have like a baby with you? Why at 7:30 at night?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Come on, we want to play our music.
But good on Abby, because they said fair enough, we turned it down. About 20 minutes later, she comes back and snaps at us again, so we turned it off completely. Good on you guys for doing that, but you shouldn't have to. If it's look, I say after 10 p.m. the latest.
If someone is right
you're
next
forced
to you.
to do it, and I can understand if it's like tough music, because I've had people listen to tough music, and it's like, all right, come on, it's 10 p.m. at night, enough. But I can imagine the music they were listening to was not. Like maybe a little bit of tough.
I think Abby likes a bit of tough.
But I think a bit of country. Like I wouldn't put it past that group either. So yeah, turns, and then after 20 minutes she came back down and turned it off completely. About 10 minutes later, we started hearing these blood-curdling screams coming from somewhere in the campground. Everyone jumped up thinking somebody was hurt. Turns out nobody was being murdered. The screams were coming from our neighbours, and they were having a very enthusiastic evening.
They were getting it on.
Like Donkey Kong.
Yep.
You know those pineapples on the cruises? That's probably what they are.
Yeah, probably.
This went on for close to 40 minutes. My God. Are they effing like rabbits?
Literally.
I remember sitting there thinking, you made us turn our music off for this. They wanted an audience. That's what it is.
I think it was audience, or sometimes people just can't concentrate during the deed and they just need
music,
silence to get into the mood.
I don't need it, but like I prefer it.
Yeah, I prefer music.
I don't mind. You can do it without the music.
Other randoms hearing you
if anything, I'm like, keep the music on, you know? But I guess everyone's different. But like, how can you not if anything, the music gets you in the mood. But you know, eventually things went quiet and we all started getting ready for bed. Then round 2 begins.
Oh no.
Safe to say, no one was getting much sleep that night. The following night, we headed to the pub for dinner before leaving. One of our mates had a chat to the couple next door and asked if they'd keep an eye on our campsite while we were gone. We left a few things out and figured an extra set of eyes couldn't hurt. Then they happily agreed. When we got back, we noticed some of our stuff was missing. Not expensive stuff either, which somehow made it even weirder or stranger, An axe, a camp chair with our mate's name written across the back of it, even our empty firewood bag that we'd been using as a rubbish bag. We went over and asked the couple if they'd seen anyone hanging around our campsite all the way. The lady looked at us and said maybe whoever took it won't own up to it. Wow, okay then.
They probably use the chair for their own business.
All right, maybe that campfire bag, that firewood bag.
Yeah.
You know. That was her entire response. To this day, we still have no idea what happened. We never found any of the missing items, and thankfully, whoever ignored them ignored the speaker, tools, and other valuable items sitting around the camp.
That's just
who goes for a bin bag?
Who goes for a chair with a name on it? Honestly,
they might have a kink against that name. Who knows? Oh my god! But
that's
like,
ridiculous.
There's a speaker sitting there. Like, why aren't you going for the speaker?
I still can't believe they were screaming while they're doing the deed as well, and asked them.
And a blood curdling scream. That has to be like.
That has to be like really loud.
Like that has to be in like horror movie.
I would have been pissed myself laughing.
So in the space of 2 nights, yeah, but imagine them going at it and you're like try not to laugh. So in the space of 2 nights, we had a neighbor flying through the campground, noise complaints, camp love sounds. Campground love songs. Oh. A mystery thief with a particular interest in a camp chair with a name written on it. And rubbish bags.
Yep, that's definitely a night to remember.
Absolutely.
And a story to tell. Thank
you, Abby. That was awesome.
That was a good one. We do appreciate people sending them in too.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
And you never know. If you guys really enjoy this episode, we might do another one just for you guys with more camping stories if you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
Maybe make it even more spooky.
Ooh.
So I thought maybe to end it off, do you have any creepy camping stories that you might have done some research on?
I do have one. It is called A Woman Digging a Hole Outside My Tent. Or their tent, sorry.
She's trying to make a burial? A grave?
Yeah, so the family finds a woman digging a hole outside their tent is what the actual title is. Sorry, yes. Guys. I was in my tent and it was the middle of the night, perhaps 1 a.m. and I had woken up to go pee. Just like normal. I was about to unzip the tent when I heard a small scratching sound. I paused. It was slow, deliberate, crunchy digging sound. It was too rhythmic for an animal. So after making sure it wasn't my dad who was sharing the tent, I unzipped a corner of the door and peeked out. The moon was just bright enough for me to see a young woman squatting right next to our little 2-man tent, digging at the ground with her bare hands. My dad went and shined a flashlight on her and told her to go back to whatever she had made camp, so wherever she made camp. The woman got up silently, leaving a 4-inch deep hole next to the tent, and started walking away. I went outside, went pee, and got back into my sleeping bag. A few minutes later, I was woken again by a clattering sound of a person or an animal walking around where we had put our stuff. I looked outside again, and the woman was crouched low, walking around our stuff and looking at things the way a monkey might. My father stepped out of the tent, shined the flashlight on her again, and she faced him. He asked her kindly to leave their stuff alone, but she just stood there, dirty and neglecting looking, but clearly not malnourished, staring at his light. He gave up and went back into our tent. Soon we heard her digging again at her little hole, which was literally 6 inches and 2 pieces of thin nylon away from my head. I shouted for her to go away, and she ran away in an animalistic kind of way.
So like on all fours maybe? Yeah, or like all aggressive?
Oh
my goodness. Like how Jordan ran to you and you peed yourself.
Yes, like that. We have to get him to do a reenactment. And never returned. I fell back asleep, and in the morning our stuff was scattered, but nothing was stolen.
Damn.
That's really creepy.
Can you imagine just like opening your tent and seeing that? Can you imagine?
Ooh.
And she's just like,
I think I'd pack up and keep
she's
going.
like,
I'll be
you're like, this is a great time to leave.
Like my time to skedaddle. No, that's tricky.
So my one is actually from America, and it's more of a disappearance. So it's actually called the Jamison family disappearance from Oklahoma woods.
Ooh.
In October 2009, Bobby and Sherilyn Jamison and their 6-year-old daughter Madison disappeared while driving into the remote Sans Boyas Mountains in Oklahoma, supposedly to look at land they were interested in buying. About a week later, their trucks were found abandoned on a dirt road. This sounds so creepy because right in the back you can hear sirens.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, perfect timing. Their truck was found on a dirt road. It was locked, undamaged, and still contained their IDs, phones, GPS, jackets, and around $32,000 in cash.
What?
That would be creepy if they went looking for a house.
Yeah.
There goes the sirens. Their dog was inside the truck, but alive but severely malnourished.
Aww.
There were no signs of a struggle and no clear reason why the family would leave all of that behind, especially if they have $32,000 in cash. Like, that's not in debt or anything like that.
Yeah.
Before they sorry guys, we've just got sirens in the back of us and we film this outside, so I'm like making sure nothing's going on behind us right now while we're filming this episode. They're really close. Before they disappeared, surveillance showed that Bobby and Sherilyn repeatedly loading and unloading their items from their truck into a strange, almost robotic manner. Friends and family later described the couple as paranoid into the months leading up to their disappearance, claiming people were watching them and that there were spirits in their home. Sherilyn reported taking several medications, though nothing has ever been proven as a direct cause. But nearly 4 years later, in 2013, the skeletal remains of all 3 family members were discovered about 3 miles from the truck in a remote area. Due to the condition of the remains, investigators could not determine a cause of death. No clear evidence of foul play was found, but no explanation fully fits either. Theories range from exposure to disorientation in the wilderness to murder to a mental health related incident, the large amount of cash, the odd behavior caught on camera, and the ways their bodies were found makes this case especially unsettling. To this day, the Jamison family deaths remain unsolved with no official explanation. So the ending of this video will look a little bit different because my camera decided to give up.
Yes, we thought that this part 1 and part 2 series was going to be our most perfect one, but it ended up being a lot longer.
Do you know what? We always say it will be our perfect one. I think at this point we're going to say the next one's not going to be perfect, and then
maybe it will be perfect. We filmed this so many times again, so we may look very tired. Exhausted
and over it,
but we try to put as much energy still into it as we
possibly can. But thank you guys again for watching. Please subscribe, we need it. Yes. Please like, please comment down below, please share us with your friends, your co-workers, your neighbors, the person that you don't like down the street. Still,
your co-workers,
absolutely,
everyone.
Even the people you hate, because even if you don't like us, they
just
might
spam them with us instead. The people you don't like, just keep spamming them with us.
Because they might like us more.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you to everyone, and thank you for everyone that sent in clips and messages about your camp stories.
Yes.
Any stories that you guys want to hear on the podcast, let us know, because when we get to a topic related to that, we were happy to share it. So if you don't have a funny camping story, but, you know, a funny road trip story, a funny story of, you know, you in high school or anything like that, let us know and we'll share it on the podcast.
Yes. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Two Girls, No Plan.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Please like, comment, and share.
We look forward to chatting your ears off on the next episode.
Oh, and please do not forget to hit subscribe.
We need to pay these bills.
Like, really, we really do.